Hey everybody, it's Barbara, and happy holidays. The night that I'm recording this, it is December 18th, 5 days to the arrival, if you are Christian or secular, of the man himself, Santa Claus. I hope he brings you everything that you want. You see in front of you the doors to East 59th Street's modeling agency, and I think it's about time we meet the man behind the mystique. And that would be Laird Drake. Laird. Laird Drake. This is the look called Cocktails for Men. And Laird is very interesting in the history of the Integrity Toys product. Previously, we've kind of sort of guessed, we've wondered if these guys were of a certain persuasion. Well, when this, what is called the aperitif collection, was introduced to us by Chris Stockel, very little was left to the imagination. Laird is a homosexual. He is an American gay male. But unfortunately, this being the 1950s, he's not out. I do think this is going to make an interesting statement going forward if there's going to be a little bit of a trend here. Because let's remember, in the next generation, we have Poppy Parker and Darla. And Darla is an African-American singer. And how much she's going to have to do with the civil rights movement while also palling around with Poppy Parker, that remains to be seen. And let's also remember that when we are introduced to Victoire, hold that thought, when we are introduced to Victoire, she is coming into East 59th Street having been away from the modeling scene for many years because she's been doing charitable works. Plenty more to say about all of that because there's a couple of more dolls coming at the end of the year, I think, is when we're going to see them. And I will say a little bit more about that as we go through the review. This is a doll that we knew was coming before we found out about the FR Monarch Home. This means that Laird is on the original home body. In other words, he's not going to have certain endowments. Let's leave it at that. What he does have is a couple of different looks, in keeping again with what Chris Stockel wanted for this particular collection of aperitifs. All the dolls have a couple of different looks with them. This is the first one. This is Laird's business attire. Interestingly, he doesn't come with a tie. He does come with a neckerchief, but we will talk more about that because that's part of his second look. He is wearing a silver gray, it's not pinstripe, it's kind of like between a tweed, it's a gray, it has the look of a tweed, but it's not tweed material. It's definitely suited. I will move him a little bit closer so you can take a closer look as we unbutton his jacket, just to show you that there is gray suiting lining inside. And he is wearing a belt. And I started to hear it, and I'm having a hard time believing it. Yeah, this is actually a first for Integrity, because they usually don't do this. But he has Velcro closure at the fly, and I have to say I'm very, very surprised by that. Usually they're class enough to do zippers. I'm guessing this time they decided not to do that. He does have working pockets. He is wearing a white shirt. This is a single-breasted jacket that's going to close with hook and eye, the relatively new hook and eye, although I have to stop saying that now, because they've been doing this hook and eye for a while. He's wearing a shirt, and I'm pretty sure, and I'm just gonna discreetly try to do this, he is not wearing briefs. They don't usually They don't usually worry about that with the guys. They usually leave the guys unbriefed or unboxered. And frankly, thinking about the period, they would have to do a lot better job with the pants, because he would be wearing boxers, even though this is a suit. The style for back then were boxers. So let me go ahead and hold the camera up now to his face. He has a very interesting hairstyle. This is not necessarily one that I would associate with the 1950s. For men, I would associate it a lot more with the 1990s into now for men. It is flocked on the sides and rooted at the top. Very stiff, lots of product to hold this wave in place. Laird has brown eyes, and he is wearing, and I don't know if this is to set it apart, from his skin tone, or they actually wanted to make this statement. He's wearing brown eyeshadow. It is not two-toned eyeshadow. It is one solid shade of brown. It's actually, like, you care, but I'm telling you anyway. It's my shade of brown eyeshadow that I prefer wearing, and he has a neutral lip. I'm realizing now that this is, I haven't quite lit this properly, so I'm going to do this. Oops. I had him half in shadow, and I'm sorry about that. Here we go. This is a little bit better. So, yes, no lashes. He is not wearing applied lashes. They're drawn in on the bottom, and there's a hint of them at the top, but not really. Okay. Let's just take a quick look at the back of the suiting. I don't think there's really going to be too much to it. Some nice detailing at the cuffs with the buttons, and the traditional gentleman's back pockets where they would allegedly put their wallets. And of course, he's wearing shoes and socks. A proper heel on the shoes for a gentleman. The shoelaces are untied. I'm sorry about that. Quick word about the IT socks, which are really a word about any socks that you would get with a figure or a doll. You always have to be careful about staining them. So if you want to leave your doll relatively dressed, go ahead and do that, but just make sure that you take the socks off, because they might stain the feet. I'm going to very quickly show you one part of this look, but I'm going to put it on him when you can see it better with the second part of the look. He does come with a very, very nice watch. And I like the watch a lot because it looks like a proper gentleman's watch, adventurer's watch, that it has the triple, I hope it has the date inside that you would have to wind. It also has the second and third hands, or one tells the temperature and one tells the time somewhere else. It's very elegant. It's one of the nicer watches I've seen IT do. I've only seen this done on a couple of other action figures. He also comes with a cigarillo, which I'm not going to pose him with. Not necessarily because I object to smoking, because let's face it, everybody smokes. This was the 1950s, nobody knew better. But those are, again, a tricky accessory to store. He does come with a whole bunch of other accessories, which we will talk about in a few minutes. I'm going to put him in that second look right now. So let's pause here, and we'll talk about his second look and how the aperitif collection is going to wind down. As promised, here is Laird's other look. It's sort of like that song, Henry VIII, second look, same as the first. Well, kinda. Uh, the trousers are the same, but he has a much more casual top. He's got a jaunty little neck scarf that he's wearing, which is red and white polka dot. I'll come in a little bit closer so you can see that. It is red and white polka dot. And you also have my cat moving around, who just may or may not have a meal out of Laird. But anyway, it's a boating neck, which I will show you in a second when I put the light down. And as I said, there's the watch on his hand. And I've actually changed the hands. One of them is to hold. And it is actually good enough to hold the cigarillo if you wanted to. That's why that finger is extended the way it is, so he could hold the cigarillo. He's also supposed to be able to hold, if I may so display, he's also supposed to be able to hold this small glass of cognac. I tried it. It's really not, you would have to put either ticky tap or an elastic around the hand to get it to hold, because it's not going to hold on its own in either hand. It does come with a bottle. Yves Bleu Cognac, preferred Vsop. As I said, all of these are the aperitif. Oops. Excuse me 1 second. As I said, all of these are the aperitif collection of East 59th Street. So the idea was Laird made his big break by creating a new drink. And we saw that with Evelyn and we saw that with Constance. The popularity of this ad campaign is what brings Victoire back to the States. And we'll also be bringing Lady Grey into the storyline. Lady Grey was introduced to us last week, about this time last week, and she's a dealer doll, so you have to, if you have an IT dealer, you need to go to them to get her. And like all the other ladies, Lady Grey will have two looks. Okay. So just to continue just to bring it back to Laird and just to finish off his look, as I was saying, he does have a second pair of shoes. Again, much more casual. This part where my finger is right here, this is fabric. This is faux leather. Usually when you have boating shoes or deck shoes, they're all one tone, like a white or a cream. So the fact that these are red, I think is meant to go with his necktie. And again, I'm just going to take it off and show you a little bit closer. This is red and white. It's not actually going to go with any of the ladies in their ensembles, I don't think. This is strictly for him. And if I could just use the stand, which I'm doing, you can see that, as I said, the top has that casual crew boating neck to it. And that's Laird. He is definitely a permanent part of the collection. He is Evelyn and Constance's boss. I don't know how that equates to eventually being Victoire's boss, or if Victoire is going to be more of a colleague to him than a boss. I guess we will find that out sooner rather than later in the storyline. But that's Laird. And that's East 59th Street. And that is, I think, technically all we're going to see of the calendar year 2018, because there was a Victoire that was part of the Lux Life collection, but not part of the Aperitif collection. The Victoire that was part of the Aperitif collection is supposed to come right about now, but since we're not hearing about it, I'm guessing she's going to come in January with Lady Grey, which would make a certain amount of sense since they probably sailed on the Queen Mary together, if you follow that kind of narrative, for lack of a better word. So, for me and for my cat Delilah, who seems to like Laird because she hasn't attacked him, so that's always a good sign. So for the two of us and for Laird, I will see you next time in my review of the Integrity Toys foreign-born cousin, the Nippon collection. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.